يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Ayat number 29 of Surah Rahman mentions, all that are in the heavens and the earth beg from Him alone. The use of the word yasalahoo means to question, to implore, and to ask Allah. This need to ask Him comes at a conscious and subconscious level as well. Many functions of the human body are designed on autopilot, and we take this huge blessing of Allah SWT for granted as things are taken care of for us without even doing anything. Take the example of our digestive system. The food gets digested and absorbed in our bodies, and what doesn't need to stay is excreted naturally. But if we suffer from diarrhea or constipation, we feel miserable. And only then do we truly appreciate this blessing of Allah's. Allah further reiterates this need in Surah Fatir, Ayat number 15, where He tells us that we are all dependent on Him whilst He is independent of us. The way we ask Allah SWT may either be by way of dua, supplication, or by our demeanour and attitude which reflects our intention. This way of asking is highlighted in Surah Ibrahim, Ayat number 34, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that He has already given us everything we ask for. So we must choose wisely what we ask for as well. But sometimes Allah chooses not to give us what we want, because it may be something that we may not need, and Allah may not give us that because it is not in our khair, betterment. Surah Ghaffir, Ayat number 7 sheds light on what the creation in the heavens are asking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The 8 angels who are assigned to pick up the Arsh, the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all those other angels around them, ask nothing for themselves. They ask only for the forgiveness of momin, the believers. The words lillazina amanu means the people who believe, i.e., those who have iman, and not just those who profess to believe, which is the difference between a momin and a Muslim. Surah Hujurat, Ayat number 14, explains this very well. It mentions, the Bedouins say, we have believed. Say, you have not believed. Rather say, we have accepted Islam, and the belief has not yet gone into your hearts. If you obey Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He will not decrease anything in reward for your deeds. This is an extremely important lesson for us to learn. Just because we may be Muslim and profess to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not enough for the angels to constantly ask the Almighty for our forgiveness. Our faith or iman will be judged by our actions, by obeying not just Allah's commands, but also following what our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us. These are 2 separate instructions by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. By disregarding our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his teachings, we take ourselves out of the category of momins. The very special 8 angels being allowed to pick up Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's massive Arsh are mentioned in Surah Al-Haqqah, Ayat number 17, only by Allah's command, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, meaning there is no power or strength except with Allah. There are those special people on earth who have attained Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qurb, His closeness. They ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the maghfirat, forgiveness, and rizq, sustenance of the momins as well. Surah Ibrahim, ayat number 41, and Surah Muhammad, ayat number 19 mention this. So, the reward for the momin is twofold. Maghfirat, which is forgiveness, to protect him or her in the hereafter, and rizq, sustenance, so they can live comfortably in the dunya. But the condition to become a momin as per Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's standard is well defined in Surah Al-Hajj, ayat number 50, that they must believe and do good deeds. Since every single creation is constantly asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything, Allah Himself is constantly doing things to help us. The word shaan in ayat number 29 of Surah Rahman means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is involved in every single aspect of every single creature of existence that He has created. This in no way implies that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so busy in our affairs that He is not omnipresent, as He clearly mentions that He is Latifun Khabir at all times. Surah Mulk. In fact, a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Tafsir Ruhul Bayan, Surah 55, ayat number 29, points out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at every individual 360 times a day. This is rather interesting because the qadar or destiny of every individual changes every time the individual does something different to change it. So it is important to understand that free will and predestination work hand in hand. That we have multiple portals of realities opening in front of us as we decide which opening to take, as we have the power and freedom to decide, not knowing what lies ahead, even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well aware of all the permutations and combinations of realities we may or may not choose to take. This confirmation, abrogation, or deletion of our qadar in this way is mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayat number 39, as He has the master copy, the Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz. This Ramzan, let us contemplate on how often do we ask ourselves and complain with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when things do not go as planned to suit our purpose, and in those moments of doubt, we defy qadar, destiny, and our belief in Allah weakens as we do not have tawakkul, complete trust in Allah, as we only like to see life from our perspective. How can we even do that when we acknowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as our master and us His slaves in our daily ritual prayers when we say in the Fatir, Iyaka na'budu? A master can do whatever he wants with his slaves as they are his property. Here, the master, the Ar-Rahman, is telling us to look at Him and His acts that impact us through His shaan with mercy and compassion, as He has to look at the grand scheme of things to make them work out for us at an individual as well as the collective level. The concept of shaan can be linked to the law of quantum physics, that every single thing at a subatomic level is interconnected and is not limited to space and time. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself mentions in Surah Saba, ayat number 3. not even the weight of a particle in the heavens or the earth escapes His knowledge. This is Allah SWT intricate design of the universe, and His design and master plan is too vast and complicated for us to understand. In the field of quantum mechanics, there is a theory of multiverse where multiple outcomes may exist simultaneously in different realities. This may be the reference to our free will that Allah SWT has given us to choose our destiny, and only He is fully aware of the multiple realities we may open based on the free choices we make by our actions or inactions. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Thank you for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you found this reflection on Surah Rahman meaningful, please like and share with those who may benefit, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. May Allah's rahmah and barakah be with you and your loved ones this Ramzan and always. Ameen. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram.